In the heart of Middle-earth, where the rivers whispered secrets and the mountains stood as silent sentinels, there existed a ring, a single band of gold, unadorned yet pulsing with an ancient malevolence. Forged in the fires of Mount Doom by the Dark Lord Sauron, the One Ring was no mere trinket, it was a vessel of dominion, a tool to bind all life under its master's will. Its power was subtle yet profound, twisting the hearts of those who bore it, promising glory while delivering ruin. This is the story of what happens when one dons the One Ring, a tale woven from the threads of courage, temptation, and the unyielding pull of fate. The village of Bree was a crossroads of sorts, a place where travelers from the Shire, men of Gondor, and even the occasional elf might share a pint at the Prancing Pony. It was here, in the waning days of the Third Age, that a young hobbit named Tobin Burrows found himself. Tobin was no adventurer, he was a gardener by trade, with hands stained by earth and a heart content with simple pleasures. Yet fate, as it often does, had other plans. One rainy evening, as Tobin trudged along a muddy path toward Bree, he stumbled upon a glint in the ditch. Kneeling, he brushed aside the sodden leaves to reveal a ring, golden, flawless, and strangely warm to the touch. It seemed to hum faintly, a sound felt more in the bones than the ears. Tobin, unaware of its nature, slipped it into his pocket, thinking it a fine trinket to trade for a new spade. That night, in the crowded common room of the Prancing Pony, Tobin sat by the fire, nursing a mug of ale. The ring weighed heavily in his pocket, though he could not say why. Curiosity overcame him, and under the table, hidden from prying eyes, he slipped the ring onto his finger. The world changed in an instant. The raucous laughter of the inn faded to a distant murmur, as if Tobin had plunged underwater. The firelight dimmed, and the faces of the patrons blurred into indistinct shadows. He felt lighter, as if his body had become a wisp of smoke, and yet a crushing weight pressed upon his mind. Tobin looked down at his hands, or where his hands should have been, and saw nothing but a faint shimmer. Panic seized him. He stood, knocking over his mug, but no one noticed. The patrons continued their chatter, oblivious to his absence. Tobin stumbled toward the door, his heart pounding. As he passed a mirror, he caught a glimpse of himself, or rather, the lack of himself. He was invisible. But invisibility was only the beginning. As Tobin stepped into the rain-soaked street, he became aware of a presence, a malevolent gaze that seemed to pierce the veil of the world. It was as if an eye, vast and unblinking, searched for him from afar. The ring grew heavier on his finger, and whispers crept into his thoughts, soft, insistent voices promising power, safety, and dominion over all he surveyed. Tobin tore the ring from his finger, gasping as the world snapped back into focus. The rain was cold against his skin, and the noise of breeze streets returned in a rush. He stood trembling, the ring clutched in his fist, vowing never to wear it again. But even as he made this promise, a part of him yearned to feel its power once more. Days turned to weeks, and Tobin returned to his quiet life in the Shire. Yet the ring was never far from his thoughts. He kept it hidden in a small wooden box beneath his bed, but its presence was a constant pull, like a tide dragging at the shore. At night, he would lie awake, imagining what he could do with its power. No more would he toil in the fields, he could command respect, wealth, even love. One evening, as the harvest festival approached, Tobin's resolve weakened. The other hobbits mocked his simple ways, and a lass he admired, Lila Proudfoot, had laughed at his clumsy attempts at courtship. In a moment of bitterness, he retrieved the ring and slipped it on once more. Again, the world faded, but this time Tobin was prepared. He moved through the festival unseen, listening to conversations, learning secrets. He heard Lila confess to a friend that she found Tobin sweet but too plain for her tastes. Anger flared in his chest, and the ring's whispers grew louder, urging him to take what he desired. Tobin crept into the mayor's home, where a table groaned under the weight of pies and coin purses left unattended. He took a single gold coin, reasoning that no one would miss it. The act was small, but it marked a shift. The ring rewarded him with a surge of exhilaration, a sense of invincibility. He was no longer just Tobin Burrows, gardener, he was something more. The ring's influence grew with each use. Tobin began wearing it more often, at first to eavesdrop or play harmless pranks, but soon his actions darkened. He stole more coins, then jewelry, justifying it as recompense for years of being overlooked. He manipulated friendships, sowing discord to elevate his own standing. The ring made it easy, its power cloaking his deeds and amplifying his desires. Physically, Tobin changed as well. His once rosy cheeks grew sallow, and his eyes took on a feverish glint. He became secretive, snapping at friends who asked after his health. The ring was no longer a tool, it was a part of him, its will entwining with his own. He dreamed of Sauron's eye, now a constant presence, and in those dreams, he saw himself ruling the Shire, a king clad in shadow. Yet the ring's power came at a cost. Tobin's invisibility did not shield him from the ringwraiths, Sauron's servants, who sensed the ring's awakening. One moonless night, as Tobin wore the ring to pilfer a neighbor's cellar, he felt a chill unlike any other. Hooves thundered in the distance, and a scream not of this world pierced the air. He tore off the ring and fled, but the encounter left him shaken. The ring was a beacon, drawing danger to him and those he loved. Tobin's salvation came in the form of a stranger, an old man with a weathered cloak and a staff that seemed to hum with quiet power. His name was Mithrandir, though some called him Gandalf. The wizard had been tracking the ring's movements, drawn by rumors of a hobbit who vanished at will. He found Tobin in a state of despair, clutching the ring and muttering to himself. Gandalf's voice was stern but kind. "The ring you bear is no trinket, Tobin Burrows. It is the one ring, forged by Sauron to enslave all free peoples. It will destroy you, as it has destroyed all who came before." Tobin wept, confessing his deeds and the ring's hold over him. Gandalf listened, his eyes filled with pity. "You are not yet lost," he said. "But you must fight its will. The ring cannot be used for good, no matter how noble your intent." With Gandalf's guidance, Tobin resolved to resist. He locked the ring away, though its whispers haunted him still. Gandalf spoke of a greater purpose, of a need to destroy the ring in the fires of Mount Doom. But Tobin was no hero, he begged to be free of the burden. Gandalf, seeing his fear, promised to find another to carry the ring, but warned that Tobin must guard it until then. The ringwraiths were relentless. Their presence grew stronger, their wails echoing through the Shire's hills. Tobin lived in fear, rarely sleeping, his days spent watching the horizon. The ring's pull was a constant torment, urging him to wear it, to flee, to fight. Each time he resisted, it was a battle won, but the war was far from over. One night, the ringwraiths came. Their black steeds tore through the village, their cloaks billowing like storm clouds. Tobin, warned by Gandalf's ravens, fled with the ring, clutching it as he ran through the woods. The Nazgul pursued, their swords gleaming with a sickly light. In his terror, Tobin slipped on the ring, vanishing from sight. The ringwraiths halted, their eyeless gazes fixed on him. They could not see him, but they sensed the ring's power, and their voices were a chorus of despair, calling him to surrender. Tobin's mind reeled under their assault, the ring urging him to give in. But a memory of Lila's smile, of the Shire's green fields, anchored him. With a cry, he tore off the ring and ran, collapsing as dawn broke and the Nazgul retreated. Gandalf returned with a fellowship, men, elves, dwarfs, and a hobbit named Frodo Baggins, whose eyes held a quiet strength. They had come for the ring, to bear it to Mordor and end its threat forever. Tobin, weary and broken, handed it over without hesitation. As Frodo took the ring, Tobin felt a weight lift, though a part of him mourned its loss. The fellowship departed, and Tobin returned to his garden, his life forever changed. The Shire healed, but Tobin carried scars unseen. He never spoke of the ring, but those who knew him saw a shadow in his gaze, a reminder of the burden he had borne. The One Ring's power was its ability to twist the wearer's soul, to make them crave dominion while enslaving them to Sauron's will. For Tobin, it was a journey from innocence to corruption, from temptation to redemption. His story was but one thread in the tapestry of Middle-earth, yet it echoed the truth of the ring's nature. It offered power, but at the cost of everything that made life worth living. Years later, as Tobin sat by his hearth, he heard tales of Frodo's quest, of the ring's destruction and Sauron's fall. He smiled, knowing his small part had mattered. The ring was gone, but its lessons lingered. Power corrupts, but courage endures. This tale, spanning the rise and fall of a hobbit under the One Ring's sway, is a testament to the resilience of the human or hobbit spirit. It is a story of what happens when one dons the One Ring, a descent into shadow, a struggle for light, and, if one is fortunate, a return to the world, forever changed.